Good morning, everyone. On Sunday mornings, I have been talking on this text, Opening the Hand of Thought. This book was written by my teacher, Okumura Roshi, and this book is about our Zazen practice. Today, I'd like to talk on one paragraph in page 112. This is the beginning of the section entitled Vow and Repentance. He said, this part of this text is about the translation of Okumura Roshi's essay on modern civilization and Zazen, and he discussed the meaning of Zazen practice in modern civilization in which we are living. And basically what he's saying is, human civilization has two aspects. One is making progress, and another is discovering a peace of mind. And these are kind of in a sense opposite. That means, and in modern civilization, what Okumura Roshi is saying, in modern civilization, making progress is more emphasized. We think we have to work hard to achieve some progress. That means we have some dissatisfaction in this present situation or condition. That means, we are not good enough, or a condition we are living is not good. Therefore, we have to work hard to make it better. So, basically, modern civilization is based on this dissatisfaction. Therefore, we have to reach some better places, and that is a goal. And we start to work hard to reach that goal. Because our effort on that direction is based on our dissatisfaction, or in a sense, greed to get something better, or dislikeness or hatred about who I am and what the situation we are in. So it's not possible to find a peace of mind within this structure of our life in modern civilization. But human beings have been making also effort. Another aspect of human life is finding a peace of mind. And that is part so-called religion. That is a function of religion, to find a peace of mind. But so-called religion is not has been losing the strength because we put too much emphasis on progress. So where can we find a peace of mind within this modern civilization is the topic of this part of the text. And basically, what when Okumura Roshi discussed about the meaning of Zazen in this modern age, he said, this Zazen is religion. Zazen is not simply a method or means to make ourselves into a better person. If our practice of meditation is based on this kind of idea as a means or method to make us better, then this is the same as our effort to progress. I don't like who I am, or I cannot satisfy this condition of myself. Therefore, we work hard to make me a better person, or a wise person, or stronger, or more peaceful. Then that is still based on dissatisfaction. And that kind of practice or activity, according to Okumura Roshi, is not religion. Religion, according to Okumura Roshi, is what is said in the previous paragraph, that is in this section, this page 112. Doing Zazen is letting go of clinging to human thought. And this means letting go of throwing out human arrogance. With that, we become, as the Bible says in the previous section, Okumura Roshi quote many statements from the Bible. And the Bible says, as God wills. So not the human desire, but our practice is a kind of prayer, not to fulfill our desire, but God's will should be actualized. And then the works of God will be manifest. This, according to Okumura Roshi, this is the foundation of religion, not human desire, but God will, or that is Christian word, but in Buddhism, not for the sake of this person, but Dharma should be actualized. So Dogen's basic attitude is we practice Zazen or meditation not to make this person better or enlightened person, but we practice Dharma or meditation or Zazen for the sake of Dharma, not to make this person better. That is the common, according to Okumura Roshi, that is a common ground of Buddhism and Christianity, probably other religion also. So he's talking about Zazen practice as religion, not as a self-improvement. And to practice this meditation or Zazen as a religion, not as a self-improvement, vow and repentance is essential. That is fact. That is the main topic of this section. And the paragraph I'm going to talk this morning is as follows. What this means, the final paragraph of page 112, what this means becomes clear when we compare Zazen with, it said, our life based on thought but this is a typo. We should take the out, delete the. So this sentence is what this means becomes clear when we compare Zazen with our life based on thought. We are constantly discriminating and dividing everything into this and that, based on our thinking, to throw our sequential thinking, not tying one phenomenon to another, is to be prior to thought. It is to be before the separation of things into this and that. When we are practicing Zazen, we exist before separating this moment from eternity, or subject from object. This may sound merely theoretical, but for a practitioner of Zazen, it is not the result of reasoning. Rather, Zazen enables one to experience this directly. So in order to talk about Bhagavan repentance, he started about the nature of our Zazen. And as we always do, we are constantly discriminating and dividing everything into this and that, based on our thinking. This is how we usually live, to make distinction or discrimination between this and that. That is a function of our mind or our brain. And what Okumura Roshi think about what this Zazen is letting go of thought, letting go of thinking. And that is the meaning of the title of this book, Opening the Hand of Thought. That means we grasp things using our thought. But when we open this hand, then the thought drop down. This is what, according to Okumura, this is what happening in our Zazen. Even when we sit in this posture, facing the wall, all different kind of thoughts are coming and going. And the purpose or goal of our Zazen practice is not eliminating of those thoughts. It's not stopping those thoughts coming and going. So those thoughts are coming and going. And yet we don't grasp. When we grasp, that means the sitting person grasp the thought, those thoughts are feeling or memory or whatever coming and going, then we are thinking. That means this person becomes subject, and those thoughts become object of this person. And that's when we are doing this, then our mind is separate between this person sitting and certain thought as object. So our mind become two parts and become subject and object. And we think about that things. Sometimes I think, this is a great idea. Or when I have some memory in the past, I hate that thing, or I want to that experience again, or we think about the future. And we accept something good happen to me, or I have a fear, something I don't want, I don't expect may happen to me. Those become the object. In our zazen, even we sit facing the wall and see the wall. Actually, one of the name of our sitting practice is Menpeki, facing the wall. So wall is only thing in front of us, but we don't watch the wall, and wall we don't think wall is an object, even though it's in front of us, because we don't focus on anything. So walls is not object. And sometimes we hear the sound from outside, but we don't think those are the object of our mind. But when we are sitting, things happening within ourselves, within our mind, become object. And we start to interact. And I love this or I hate that. That is often or almost always happening. And whenever that kind of thing is happening, that means there's a separation and interaction. That is what we call thinking. When we're aware that we are thinking, then we open our hand and return to just sitting and breathing through our nose deeply, as if the air goes down to our abdomen. This upright posture and deep breath and letting go of thought, opening our hand of thought, is what we do in our zazen. To do so, to return to this breathing posture, upright posture, and letting go of thought, is returning to our zazen. And we do this almost moment by moment. So this opening the hand of thought, or letting go of thought, is, well, I have to say, is what we do. But actually, we stop doing. That is what returning means. So our zazen is called non-doing. Non-doing is an important expression in Zen Buddhism. That means not this person's intentional action, but we stop any intentional action. So this is what is happening, not we do in our zazen. So that is what we do, we are constantly discriminating and dividing everything into this and that based on our thinking. But in our zazen, we stop doing this. To throw our sequential thinking. This is sequential thinking means when we think, we think based on time. Usually, in our common understanding, time flows from past to the future through present moment. And we think we did this and we are doing this, and because of this action, we expect something happening in the future. This is what sequential thinking means. And yet, according to Buddhism, this is a fiction, this is a story created in our mind. Only reality is this moment. Entire past has gone already, so it's not reality anymore. And the entire future has not yet come, so this is also not reality. only true reality is this present moment. Then, we can see, this sequential thinking is simply a fiction happening in our mind at this moment. So, past is a memory, and future is a expectation or hope or desire happening at this present moment. But when we sit, we let go of this kind of a story and return to here and now. And here and now is really only one real thing. So whenever we start to think about the past or future, we return to here and now. That is what we do in our Zazen. So we try to stay here and now, but our mind is often go somewhere else in the past and play with our memory, or our mind is in the future and have a hope or a fear, or our mind may go somewhere else. Even though we sit in this dendo, our mind can be somewhere else. Sitting in the dendo is not so interesting thing. Often we think this is the worst things to do. So there must be much better or more interesting things out there. So often we think, why I have to be here? Why I have to do this? So our mind is always go somewhere else. So whenever we are aware that our mind is moving around, we return to here and now. That is what we do in our Zazen. So to throw out sequential thinking, that is our story, not tying one phenomenon to another. Tying one phenomenon to another is when we, in our mind at this moment, we remember something happened to me in the past, and because of that, I had something different a few later, and because of cause and effect, now I'm here. This is our function of our mind to each and every things happened to me and make a history or a story, my story or a human history. But actually, here and now. Then he said, this, when we do this, letting go of thought in our Zazen, to be prior to thought. Prior to thought means we think things are happening around us in this world is what we thought. Or what we think about things happening is really true, but that is not really true. And he said, it is to be before the separation of things into this and that. When with subject encounter object, then our mind function, and we create some image, and we think about this thing using our thinking mind and define what this is. And we make a value judgment whether I like this or I hate that, or this is meaningful or not meaningful. And we kind of make a picture of the world in which something is positive and the other thing is negative, or I like this part, I hate that part. And I want to be together with something desirable always, and yet somehow they go somewhere. So we chase after that thing. Or something we don't want, or we like, or we didn't like, we don't like, or we hate come to me without my agreement. So we become angry, or we hate that thing. So we try to escape from that thing. This makes our life, running, always running something, running after something, or escaping from something. That is how we think our life is a struggle to achieve something. But in other Zen, we stop doing that and settle down here and now, and even stop doing this. This is how we separate things in the world into two parts, positive one and negative, or like, dislike, meaningful, meaningless. That our life become dualistic, and we are always making separation and discrimination and take this as my position, or I try to escape from that. That makes our life samsara. Samsara is a world of up and down. That means sometimes we feel our life is successful, but sometimes, or more often, our life, something is lacking, or sometimes I feel, this life, my life is really terrible. That is how we live. But by letting go of thought, we let go of this structure and just being here and now, without making judgment. This is what Okumura Roshi meant. It is to be before the separation of things into this and that. So we let go of that dualistic way of thinking and taking action based on those duality. Then, when we are practicing the Zen, we exist before separating this moment from eternity, or subject from object. I think this is interesting, and we need some explanation. What is before separating this moment and eternity? This moment and eternity. What is eternity? For many years, I didn't understand what is eternity. When Okumura Roshi discussed what is the difference between eternity and permanence. Buddha said nothing is permanent. So where is eternity? And my understanding about what eternity means in this context is this is our usual concept of time. Time flows from past to the present, and from present to the future, and things happening within this flow. And this moment is one part of this stream. And this is now. We think this now or present is one position, one part of this flowing of time. But as I said, this moment is only real moment. Entire past has gone and the entire future has not yet come. But when we take a closer look at this present moment, we find, there's no length within this present moment. Present moment is like, for example, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. has no length, right? 59, 10:59.999 is not 9 a.m. 8:59 and 9:01 and no matter how many zero, if there is one, it's already not 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. is has no length. That is present moment, and the smallest or shortest moment in Buddhist teaching is Kushana. Kushana is the very shortest moment, and we cannot sense it. It said within 1 second, more than 60 kshanas are there, and in our mind or consciousness, the shortest time we can perceive or feel or sense is more than 10 kshanas. So, and yet this one kshana that we cannot sense has still length. And even tiniest length is there. Then we can separate into two parts, and this part is already gone, and another part has not yet come. So even Kushana is not really present moment. So this present moment, I had even English word moment has length. So I don't have word to point this. But anyway, that means when we take closer look at this present moment has no length, means zero. This present moment is simply the boundary of past and future. That is not reality. And present moment is zero. That means time disappeared. As our common sense, this one moment is one, but this present moment is zero. And this is interesting to me. But when we cannot see, and we cannot feel. But when, what is the word we can use? When we understand this, one moment is no length, that is zero. Then we, there's no word, find that we find eternity there. That means it is said, time and space is created at the moment of Big Bang. And from the moment of Big Bang until today, until this moment, this is only one seamless moment. If we don't measure the time in this way, that means second, minute, hour, week, or century, or so, then there's no such segment. This time is simply one moment. That means time doesn't flow.
So there is no beginning or end.
Right. Even I think even Big Bang is not the beginning really. There must be some cause and conditions of Big Bang. So this is really beginningless and endless, and this time doesn't flow. And when we see, not see, but when we become really this here and now, we become part of this time that doesn't flow. Does it make sense? And to me, this time that has no segment and it doesn't flow is eternity. So my kind of a formula is 1 equal 0 equal eternity. But within our mind and in this moment, we kind of create the flow of time. And this is a kind of a fiction. As reality, time is zero. And this is a part of eternity. So when Okumura Roshi is saying, before separating this moment from eternity, this moment is a part of this idea of time, part of this time that flows. And eternity is really a time without segment. When we become zero, when we take a look at one moment, we see, this one moment is actually zero. Then we see this we are, this moment is part of this eternity, eternal time, which doesn't flow. And this is not only about the time, but space is the same. When we measure the length or the distance, for example, from Bloomington to Indiana, we think there are about 40 miles. But because Indianapolis has size, and Bloomington has much smaller, but it has size. There's no way to measure the distance. In order to really measure the distance, this place and that place should not have the length, have the size. If there is certain size, we can cut into two, right? And there's no way to measure the exact length. So as the same as the definition of dot in algebra, Indianapolis should be just a position which has no size, and Bloomington too. Otherwise, there are some, even smallest size is there, then we cannot really measure the length. So, here does not has size. We can say, we are all here in this room, but I am here, you are there. So this room can be separated into two parts, and here and there. So even if there's the slightest size, we can also set here and there. So even though we say here and now, this here also has no size, only a position. And another thing, the self, me, Shohaku is the same. Then Shohaku is one, but because Shohaku is simply a collection of 5 aggregates, and there's no such thing called Shohaku. Therefore, Shohaku is 0. Because Shohaku is 0, then Shohaku is together with all beings. Does this make sense? This is really, I think, important point to understand what Dogen is talking about. For example, when he talks about Zazen, he says something like, when we are sitting, even for a short time, this person sitting and all beings in this entire universe, past, present, and future, entire time and space are one. If there is some fixed entity that can exist without relation with others, then we cannot say, here, now, and this person or self are together with all beings. But because those things, each one of them, are empty, that means 0, therefore we are together with all beings. Now, not now, but I have been writing my essays on Shobogenzo Ikkanomyoju. Ikkanomyoju is one bright jewel. And this is Dogen's comments on a kind of expression made by a Chinese Zen master. And the expression is 10 direction world. 10 direction means entirety of all space. 10 direction world is one bright jewel. And one bright jewel is each one of us, or each and everything. This entire world and each and every being within it are one. And part of that writing, Dogen says, 10 direction world is neither big nor small. That means this entirety of space has no size. In order to measure the size, well, say big or small, we have to make a comparison. When we compare this entire universe as something smaller than it, then we say this universe or world is large or larger than this thing. But if we compare this world larger than this than itself, then this world becomes small. But there's no such things to compare with, because this entire world includes everything without any exception. So there's no way to measure it. That's why there's no, that's why we cannot say this world or universe is large or small. That means there's no way we can measure it. No ruler and no one who measure it. This entirety is this entirety. And within this entire space and time, everything is there. We are living in there. And our Zazen, sitting right there, right within this entirety, and letting go of thought, that measure things, evaluate things. But when we open our hand and let go of such measurement and evaluation, then we are together with all beings and one with entire space and time. And we are together with all beings. And this insight is a basis of Bodhisattva practice. When we say, work together with all beings, or live together with all beings in peace and harmony. There's no such things possible if there's such separation. But we are already with this interconnectedness. There's no such separation between ourselves and all other things. We are connected with all beings. When we see, this body and mind, it becomes really clear. Even though I think, this is a separate person from the rest of the world, still, the air comes in and goes out. This air is not me. And we can continue to live because of water or some foods. Water is not me, and foods are not me, but still, they are coming in and become me, part of my body. And because of those, water or foods and air, we can think I am Shohaku or who you are. Because of all those things coming and going. And beside those things coming and going and become the element of these five skandhas, there's no such thing called Shohaku. It's really zero. That's why we can be, not we can be, but we are actually one with all beings. But at the same time, we are always deceived by our thinking and think I am an independent person and I am the center of the world and rest of and all things within this world is the object of my desire, and I can use any of them in the way I can be satisfied. So all beings are there to make this person happy. I think that is illusion. That is a very basic illusion. So when we are aware this reality of one equal zero, equal eternity, that means together with all entire time, space, and beings, then our life, or the meaning of our life, is really changed or transformed. To compete with others and beat others and make me more, powerful person, or have attained some fame or social status, and look down other people cannot be the purpose or goal of our life. But being peace and harmony with all beings is not a goal, but that is how our life can be. I think that is what Okumura Roshi is saying when he said, when we are practicing Zazen, we exist before separating this moment and eternity. This moment is a part of this flow of time. Or subject, me, and object. And this may sound merely theoretical or philosophical idea, only idea. But for a practitioner of Zazen, it is not the result of reasoning, or rather than Zazen, this sitting practice enables one to experience this directly. I hope this is true, not I think, but from my experience, when I started to practice at Antaij when I was 22, and at Antaij, we had a 3-day or 5-day session, 10 times a year, except February and August, because it's too cold in February and too hot and humid in August. And during 5-day session, or during session, we sit, one period was 50 minutes, same as what we do here. We sit 14 periods a day. So from 4 in the morning until 9 in the evening, except 3 meals, the time of 3 meals, we repeat sitting 15 minutes and 10 minutes kicking 14 times for 5 days. And rest of the month, we sit 5 periods a day from 5 to 8 in the morning, 3 periods, and 6 to 8 in the evenings, so 5 periods a day, 5 days a week. Each Monday we had a day off, and on Sundays we have this kind of Sunday gatherings, so we didn't sit 5 periods. Anyway, I practiced there for about 5 years, less than 5 years, from when I was 22 to 26. That was the time Uchamroshi retired. Anyway, and after Uchamroshi retired, we 3 of his disciples, including me, moved to Barrezendo in Massachusetts, and we continued to the same session, but there we had 12 sessions a year. Because it's not so hot in August, and we had a wood stove, so there's no excuse it's to say it's too cold. Anyway, so for about 10 years, I continue, this practice of just sitting, and especially when I was in my early 20s, 5 days sitting 15 minutes is pretty long. And sitting 14 periods a day, 14 hours a day is really long. And of course, 5-day session is more than, sometimes I felt more than eternity. I don't know how to continue doing this practice. Especially in the beginning, when I started to practice in this way during the session, I counted the period of time period. Now this is the first period in the first day, and now I sat 2 days, so there are about 40 more period I have to sit. When I counted, the number of the period makes more difficult, more painful. I feel time doesn't flow. Sometimes I felt one period, 15 minutes is longer than 1 week. So after for a while, I stopped counting, and I tried to sit only this moment, this period. Then it become easier. When I think, how I have been sitting, how many period or how many days, and I have to sit how many more days. Then it's very difficult to be there. I have a fear. How can I sit, 3 more days? But when stop thinking in that way, but try to focus on this one, only this one period, and also only this moment, then I felt easier to be here. And during that time, I feel, this moment is only moment, and yet this only moment is there. And sometime I felt, I have been sitting here and now eternally. And I felt, my lives as a Shohaku from I was born until that time was like a dream. But sitting in this moment is only reality. So I felt, sitting at this one moment and here at this in that zendo and with this body and mind is really zero. When we see, this is zero, I feel, I'm together with all beings, entire time and the entire space. So from my experience, what Okumura Roshi is saying here, that our Zazen practice enable us to really experience this oneness of present, this moment, here, now, and the self, and all beings, and the entire space, and entire time are really one thing. Well, this is what I have to say this morning. Any question or comments? Please.
Rosan Yoshida in St. Louis, he liked to call emptiness the zero state. I guess because the word shunyata is related to the word zero in Sanskrit. So I guess I just wanted to ask, do you think that this 1 equals 0 equals eternity is basically the same as the idea of emptiness or shunyata?
I think so. But shunyata is not blank, not really, not only zero. But shunyata allow me as one person. Each and every beings are shunyata, and because of that, each and everything can be that thing. I think that is the meaning of form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. So I'm together precisely because I'm together with all beings and space and time. I can be independent person as Shohaku, and I have a responsibility to take care of this collection of 5 skandhas, moment by moment, and keep this in a good shape in order to be a healthy part of this interconnectedness. So emptiness is not really nothing, but emptiness allows all beings as all beings as unique beings. Okay. Okay, anything else? Please.
Language is really difficult
Yes.
to get to where I think you're trying to get us.
Yeah.
Seems to me,
Mhm.
I guess I have a comment that I want to turn into a
Yeah.
question. It seems to me that if you were to be able to occupy that theoretical decimal point,
Mhm.
that's just a placeholder, that would allow you to exist before cause and effect,
Mhm.
before all phenomena, then there would be three possible outcomes. One would be an existence before the Big Bang Theory, which would seem to me to be an impossibility.
Mm.
But I'm not sure because I think that's where you have to end up. The second point would make you occupy a position where you would see all phenomena that would be emerging. And the third position would be total chaos. And I don't know which of those three positions would equal zero.
I don't understand. I mean,
I think they're all the same.
They might all be the same.
I think so too. You know, basically, I think basically, this is beyond our thinking, beyond
And that's why
our
there's no
logical
limit.
way of thinking. So, to me, it's not possible to think about those three possibilities. You know, but it's beyond our thinking. I think. I'm sorry, this is not a good answer.
No, it is a good answer. I don't see how you can do Zazen
Mhm.
without any kind of perception of cause and effect. You're sitting, there is, because of that, there is always that separation that exists between you and zero.
Mhm.
And yet, at that same moment, we are striving is the wrong word because we're not supposed to be moving towards anything. But we are trying to accomplish that zero. And so there has to be, and that's where the separation is, that's where the tension is. How do you overcome that attempt to achieve? And that's what is causing samsara. But I just don't get how we ever end up at zero because of that.
I don't think we make effort to become zero, but we are zero.
We are zero.
It's not our effort to make ourselves into zero, because we are zero from the beginning. There's no such thing as called Shohaku. So, and yet, as I said, within our mind, all different kind of thought or thinking or perception or even value judgment is happening, even in our zazen. But we just let go, open our hand. That means those thoughts are still there, but we don't grasp them. That is how one and zero are together, both are there in this just sitting and letting go. And within there, eternity reveals. It's not a matter of we can perceive eternity. Then there's a separation between me and eternity. Then we miss it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
So it is not to say that one doesn't exist, but it is to remind us to
One
come
is,
back to zero.
one is exist in the case of human beings as a five skandhas.
Yeah.
Conventionally, it's there. That five skandhas are there. But that is only five skandhas, collection of five skandhas. That's why there's no one independent being that can exist without relation with others. There's no such things. But five skandhas as a kind of a combination is there. and it within causes and conditions. So it's it's born sometimes and stay for a while, changing shapes and disappear sometimes.
So can we say emptiness is transformation?
Emptiness is
Because it's constant
transformation, is changing the forms. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
Beings are endless. I bow to